Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Dashboard Fridays. I'm Adam from SquaredUp, and today I've got my colleague Josip on with me. Hey Josip.
Hi, Adam.
Thank you very much for joining me today. We've got another fun dashboard from our recent dashboard competition. Josip, you're a director of engineering here. You cover a bunch of teams. You are very obviously involved in the product itself, so it's no surprise that you've been able to build a pretty cool dashboard. I've got the dashboard on screen here. Clearly from its title and the great big logo, it's to do with Steam. Uh, Tell us a little bit about the dashboards of why you built it.
Thank you, Adam. Firstly, thank you for the kind words. The dashboard competition was an amazing sort of event. Really encourage everyone to use the product, and then obviously I wanted to contribute to that, but I had a lack of creative sort of the motivation. So I was thinking, what shall I do? Shall I do some financial API? Shall I do something else or this and that? And nothing seems right. Okay. And then one day, I think 2 days before it closed down, before the close down of the actual competition entry, my son came to me and he's a avid gamer and he said, Dad, look, I've got some games here and I'm doing, and then at that point I got a eureka moment and said, using Steam. Let me see what the Steam API has to offer. And I was really, really pleasantly surprised. It has very nicely structured, laid out API. And I said, look, if I use our web API data source to connect to Steam, I'm pretty certain I could craft some really nice dashboard. So yeah, that was it. So the only remaining obstacle was really getting the account ID key from my son, his Steam account ID. But that was the
Sure.
easy part.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's obviously, we if you go to squareup.com, you'll see we talk about SquaredUp as a BI and analysis tool for engineering teams. Obviously, engineers love gaming, right? So you could technically say this could be considered an engineering dashboard. Certainly not a day-to-day like business dashboard, I'd guess. Well, could you just sort of talk us through the information that you've got on the dashboard? That'd be great.
No, of course, Adam. So the first thing I've done, so the if you can see on the left-hand side here of the screen, we got the data sources. So I've got 4 different data sources, which really resemble the 4 Steam APIs, different APIs. I'll talk a little bit about those. So iSteam user really provides the number of methods to get any information about users and their friends, whether they're online or not. So that's really, really useful data to have. Then you've got iPlay service, which gives you information about games, how many you've got, how much time you spend playing games, etc. And then you got iSteam user stats, which I found it's really interesting, and it gives you statistics or achievements for each particular game. Now, this is where I got completely overwhelmed once I got the data for this. I mean, avoiding hand grenades, headshots, kills with a knife, avoiding kills. It's just, it blew me over, Adam. So I'll show you how I've done this, but I've picked a few with the sort of most impactful one for the dashboard. And then final one is iSteam News, which was really, there is a large community of the gamers there, and then you can fetch the latest news about the gaming events, competitions, etc. So it's quite nice sort of to add this community element on the dashboard. So these were my building blocks. So then I first came in to see how do I connect and what do I do. So luckily it was with our web API data sources is a child's play, really easy. So once you create the API data source, you name it, you add your base URL, and then you can tailor this down. You can add any query arguments, keys, as many as you need, and then you can also add headers should you need. So that was really, really cool. Luckily, this API was very straightforward. The only thing you needed is the Steam account ID, which you pass in. and then you can choose the format, which can return in JSON, XML, and a CSV format. But for us, the JSON is the bread and butter. So that was really easy. What I really like about the Web API data source is that actually you can checkbox your test endpoint, and you can really add endpoint that you want to test, and then just quickly send. And what you get in the results, you get the actual
Yeah.
resulting JSON as is. And that's even before you go to dashboard. So it really saves huge amount of time in debugging on the spelling mistake, etc. So you can see exactly what you're getting. So once you get to dashboard, you focus only on pretty much on aesthetics, and then really visualizing your data.
Nice.
So that was really easy part. I mean, connecting, I don't think I spent more than 5-10 minutes in crafting those data sources. So from there, I've literally just gone in there, create a new dashboard, and then started pulling data. So I can show you a few examples. For example, player name. I've decided to use a status block because I've only didn't want to just show the name, but I also indicate the whether the online presence, whether they online, whether they are trading, or what else. So I'm going to give you examples, see how I've done that. So if I edit the tile, and then we go to query. Okay, so if I go to query, so but this is another thing which is really cool. Once I get the raw data, sometimes you need to tailor this down to some specifics. And we using our SQL analytics editor, it was easy peasy, so nice. For example, in this instance, I would be getting my data set, raw data set, as you can see, it returns a number of columns, number of days. And then one thing that I was looking for is, for example, person name. That's the avatar. You can see clearly my son is now influenced by the Barbie movie. So, and then you've got like a persona status there. You can get the avatar image, etc. But what I wanted to do, because the persona status is a set of different codes, each indicating different online presence. So rather than showing just a number, I use my SQL analytics to really create something that it's human readable. So for example, I've translated each persona state code into its representative online status, like offline, online, busy, away, snooze. And then using the tile configuration, I set that to be my sub label. So I got my block label is the user avatar name, and sub label is the status. So I know whether they're online, they're snoozing or trading or whatever. And then the blocks are really used in this RAG sort of approach, red, amber, green. So I really mapped that specific one status to error, success, and warning, essentially meaning if you're online, you're green. If you are offline, you're red. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. And I think I've used for any other code here, it's just like a warning, but essentially means that you're not online, you're not offline, but you're doing some other activity.
Yeah.
So, and then,
Nice.
so that was really, really easy doing that. It's a good fun as well. And as you can see, result is a block visualization. And I know my son is now online, lunchtime gaming. So live data, it's really, really simple. The next one I've done is a similar one. I'm not going to go in there, but really I fetched the data for all top 5 of his friends. The only other thing I've done here, because now with the friends, you would get a list of number of friends, and then I had to use the filtering to sort of and sorting in our shaping panel to get the top 5 friends by the time they spent together. So apart from that, I use the same SQL transform to get the same sort of a look and feel there.
Yeah. Nice.
So you can see which friends his friends they most likely playing with. So the next thing which was interesting here is the other API was giving me number of games. So I've been using these get on games, and then that would really straightforward. I would include the free games as well, so I get total number of games, and that returns pretty much just a scalar value, which I've used here. Simple as that. And then you get the number of games, so you can see where they're spending their pocket money.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's all cool. And then probably the metrics or the data that's most important to the parents, and it's how much my kids are spending online. So this is 2 weeks, and then it's the total. So the same principle applies. Same API is just the two different sort of fields, result fields I'm using. So again, if you look at the data, you get lots of data you get this data broken down for each game. Okay, so perhaps this is where you can very clearly demonstrate the power of SquaredUp. Okay, because if I go into Steam and I want to find out how much my son has been spending time, I would really need a pen, paper, and calculator, because I would have to go through each game, get the time they spend each game, and then adding those together.
Sure.
So what I've done, and I've got that data here, playtime 2 weeks, playtime forever, but instead I've gone in SQL and I've done really simple, well, summing all that data, all that time together for each game, and then really nicely formatting to some readable string. And again, the result is very straightforward. You get how many days, hours, and minutes of playtime for the last 2 weeks, and a total playtime. So very, very impactful there.
That's cool. Tell me a little bit about those that row of gauges along the bottom.
These are most attractive ones. Yes. So so this comes the data for this. It's coming from, as I mentioned, from the user stats for the game. So as you've seen probably the chart of the top game, his favorite game is Counter-Strike: A Global Offensive, which he spends most of the time in. So I said, let me see what the achievements have got there. So I've got absolutely huge amount of achievements there. So I had to pick those few that have very impactful name, like Survive Grenade. So I said, how do I present this? I mean, how do I do it? And then it really dawned on me that the gauge is a perfect visualization for this, because everything you get in terms of the percentage, okay, return. So 0 to 100, you go there. So what I've done, exactly this, I've put that in a gauge visualization, range 0 to 100, label survive grenade, and now that looks cool. Okay, but it's a bit blunt, is it? Because 0 or 5%, 60%, 70, am I doing well? And well, I'm not doing well. Okay, so I tell you, look, what we can do, we can really use a monitoring here, which is again something that SquaredUp is really doing well. So I've gone to monitoring. I've decided to set a threshold, okay? And then we can define the thresholds at which point you can turn the gauge into red or amber or it's green. So obviously, as you can imagine, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know what these mean. So I've really used the sort of very engineering approach. Anything below 33% is red.
Yeah.
Between 33 66 is amber, and then green above that. Probably completely wrong. But if you're a gamer and if you know what you're doing, you could use the same principle to almost set goals for yourself. Okay, you know how well you're performing. Again, the result is you get a gauge, really nice layout there, and then you can see very colorful in rag colors again. See how well you're doing in the most important achievements there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I guess we could all probably think if you're surviving grenades only 14.4% of the time, you could probably do better, I guess.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Just for the length of the video, is there any sort of one other key thing that you wanted to call out on this dashboard?
Well, one of the key things that I mean, for me, the biggest sort of thing was SQL analytics, because I would be able to present you this data, but I would not necessarily be able to tweak that data to present this really nice, presentable layer there. So I think that made a huge difference. I mean, when you get to Web API, easy to collect, you got the raw data, you got visualization, but that glue in between the SQL analytics, it really helps me shape my data the exactly way I would want it to be. So to me, that's the biggest that they can take out from this.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think for most of the cases where we will build an official plugin for something, we obviously do quite a lot of work to shape the data, to apply the right labels. We even get it to do things like some of this sorting and aggregating and grouping, that kind of thing. But yeah, without SQL Analytics, you wouldn't have been able to power that status block or that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a really valid case, and I like the fact that you said you're able to do something in SquaredUp you otherwise can't. So look at like the total play time for the last 2 weeks. Important as a parent. So maybe that's how we need to get this dashboard out there. Calling all parents. Check your kids' Steam usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Thank you,
I'll go
Adam.
ahead and wrap us up. If you're interested in Josip's dashboard or any others, head over to squareup.com/dashboard gallery. There's lots of information going to be available on there. Community Answers is the place to ask any questions. So community.squareup.com. So if you want to know any specifics around how to use the Web API tile or to play with SQL Analytics, that kind of thing, that's Community Answers is the place to go. But yeah, all that's left is to say thank you very much to Josip for joining us. Thanks, Josip.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks, everyone.
I'm sure we'll get you on next time for some other awesome gaming-related dashboard, or maybe even an engineering-related dashboard. Who knows?
Maybe
But yeah,
even that.
that's it for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.